Greetings from the third world, and welcome to episode 76 of the Comic Watchers Show. I'm your host, Matt, and with me this week is Mr. Mike Eakins, also known as Scoop Johnson. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Nick decided he was going to take a well-deserved evening off from the podcast. He probably has to go plot against us with the Valiant Watch podcast, which... we're starting to get a little bit of a intra-company rivalry going on with the Valiant guys, and Nick is on both shows, so he's showing his true colors. And man, I don't know. We might have to up our game, but fortunately and unfortunately for them, we've totally upped our game because we have writer Sophie Campbell joining us for this episode. She's currently writing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for IDW, and she'll be joining us momentarily. But there is a little bit of news that the fabulous and world-famous Scoop Johnson was going to cover. Mr. Mike, or excuse me, Mr. Scoop. Scoop Cake.
Scoop Cake. Yeah, Scoop Cake. That's my side business. If this doesn't pan out, then I'm going to start my own bakery here. Probably the biggest thing is the hashtag Creators for Comics that is live right now on Twitter. And what it is the list is a who's who. Big names, indie names. I mean, just every level of comic creator is auctioning off everything from being written in a book. You can bid on autographed books, prints. There is auctioning off, Twitter, not Twitter feeds, but like Zooms and stuff. You can hang out with them. With Leah Williams is doing an Animal Crossing thing, so there's just tons of.
Wait! You left out the best part of Leah Williams.
Oh yeah, I apologize. Leah Williams here. And as I read from her Twitter feed, is get drunk with Leah Williams on Skype while she gives you a tour of her Animal Crossing island. And so what you want to do with pretty much all these bids is you're going to reply with your bids to the tweet. This particular opening bid is $10. And auction ends on 4/20, giggity, for those of you who get that one. And a lot of them, pretty much all of them, are going to go to the Bink Foundation. All the money that they're raising. Foundation? Yeah. Let's see, another one we got here, Dan Jurgens.
Wait, what is the Bink Foundation?
The Bink Foundation is the Book Industry Charitable Foundation. Basically, it is helping with millions and millions of dollars of assistance for booksellers in the industry, and it's something that's really, really good and charitable, and definitely a worthwhile institution to receive all this money that I'm sure they will end up getting, because there is a lot of auctions that have completely went through the roof right now, which is good.
There's some really cool stuff out there. Mike was about to mention Dan.
Yeah, Dan is doing a Doomsday sketch and a sign remarked Superman 75. There's no minimum. Oh, wow. The auction, I think most of these, from what I've read, they end the 4/20 again. And so obviously all the money's going to the Bink Foundation, and just bid through it. Let's see what else we got. We got Greg Capullo has a really rad Clayface sketch that he is auctioning off.
Right on.
Yeah, just some really, really good stuff. Let's see, what else do we got? Becky Cloonan is doing some stuff. She has some prints that she's auctioning off. Starting bid on those is $50. Let's see, we got Tom King. Excuse me. He is auctioning 13 signed hardcovers plus a signed rare con variant for Batman #1, plus the script for Batman FUD, plus a terrible sketch, in his own words. So opening bid for all that stuff is $300. So, but as with Tom King's, there is some stuff that the asking bid is in the hundreds. But yeah. And there is some stuff, obviously, that you can start in the 20s, the 60s. So, there's so many different levels of action you can get onto Twitter.
Now, Jason Aaron is auctioning off a chance to come on a podcast. Yeah, he would fit in well with the Beard Show.
He would. He would.
I don't think we can afford him, but we could definitely dream.
We can definitely dream, right? Yeah.
I know Chip Zdarsky is auctioning off a chance for the winner to appear in an erotic story drawn and written by him, which is pretty classic Chip. God, there's been some really good ones out there. So yeah, I mean, Bink Foundation, totally worth the cause. I believe, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that the money is going to go to support comic book stores as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is great. It's awesome to see the industry coming together like this, because guess what? We still don't know when all this is going to end, and when things will get back to normal. You know, we've now had our third Wednesday in a row with no new comics. I don't know. I think the first couple weeks I was like, okay. But then, this week it just hit me. It's like, God dang, 3 weeks, no new comics.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's crazy. It's, you know, it's what we have to do, but it's awesome to see all these professionals, like all different kinds of professionals too. Yep. Rob Liefeld has been, the Rob Father himself has been auctioning off sketches and drawings like crazy.
Yeah, and actually the really cool thing, he just posted, and I wish I had pulled up, but he just posted the 6 stores that money is going to and stuff like that, and all the stores have reached out to him, through Twitter and thanked him and all that stuff. So that's really good. And also, I think we talked about this 2 shows. I think what TKO is doing. So if you buy something through TKO, half of what you spend goes to a designated comic store. So when you buy stuff from TKO, whether one of their graphic novels and such, you just put in your designated store, and it's another way to give back and stuff like that. So because I what's that?
Oh, I was just remarking, it's such an awesome deal. TKO is a great company. I ordered Garth Ennis and Steve Epting's Sarah from them.
How is that?
Oh, it's outstanding.
Yeah.
I've read so many Garth Ennis war stories that it kind of after a while the luster's worn off a little bit, but this is just so well written. It's accessible. It's dramatic. God, just buy this graphic novel. I don't care what you have to do. But with that said, it is now time to bring out our guest of honor.
What's up?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Sophie Campbell joining us. Hey, Sophie.
With no webcam because I'm in my pajamas and I'm not doing my eyebrows for you guys.
We don't do our eyebrows for us either.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Do I need to put headphones on or anything? Like, is it echoey?
No, it sounds really good.
Sounds fine over here, yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Just let me know.
Yeah. No, typically when there's technical issues, it's on Mike's end. So, but
yep.
See, he's frozen. So, anyway.
Am I still frozen?
I'm Matt. For one reason or another, they made me the host. Pleasure to meet you. And Mike, the bearded one himself, he's the one that's been reaching out to you and generally being a good steward of the Comic Culture Show brand.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you to Mike for making this happen. And then normally we have Nick here with us, but he is kind of maybe going to be a traitor about the Valiant Watch show that he co-hosts as well as this one. So we don't know. There's some internecine warfare brewing, and we're not sure.
Internal strife.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's all in good fun, of course. We love our Valiant brethren, but we're clearly the superior show. So, Sophie, thank you.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I am okay. I just had some ice cream. That was pretty good. I'm on break from Turtles right now, so I'm just sleeping a lot. Pretty much.
There you go, catching up on much needed rest.
Oh yes, definitely taking multiple naps per day. It's great.
Nice.
Nothing wrong with that. So, I mean, are you safe? Is everyone in your life healthy? I hope.
Yeah, my parents are good. My sister and my nephews are good. I haven't left the house since like January or something, so that's pretty good.
Depends on if you're an extrovert or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I work at home, so yeah, I don't know. It's like, the quarantine started happening, and I'm just like, yeah, I've already been doing that for like 2 months, and like, I usually get like grocery delivery because I'm a yuppie. But like, definitely there's a lot of like little things that have changed since like the actual lockdown.
Sure.
But for the most part, my daily routine is the same. So yeah, it's not too bad.
Well, that's good. That's a relief.
Yeah.
So do you at least have some cats or a dog or a hamster or something with you for companionship?
Yeah, I have one cat, and he's a menace.
They mostly all are. So that's awesome. Well, again, thank you for taking time out of your maybe busy schedule.
Not really. Not at the moment busy schedule.
The word quasi came to mind, but I thought that sounded somewhat judgy, so I changed my wording.
Well, I'm busy with a lot of work around the bed and couch.
Awesome. Lots of binge watching, I hope.
Not really, actually. I just like if I try to watch anything while I'm like lying on the couch, I just fall asleep. So not a lot of binge watching.
There you go.
It definitely happens. So I hate to tell you this, but Mike and I are kind of both huge Ninja Turtle fans. So it's very, it's not happenstance that you're here. But Mike, do you want to fire it off for us?
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, Sophie, thanks for doing this for us and coming on the show and stuff. It's greatly appreciated. Again, your art, and I have to ask this question. Your art always seems to emphasize different body types and including everyone, and even everything from the stuff you did in Gem to Wet Moon to everything you've done with Turtles, obviously. What has been your influence and your motivation for that particular type of art? Everything from faces to their clothes. There's a realness, there's a slice of life to that. And what has been your biggest influence with that?
I guess just real life. Like, I look around, I see all sorts of kinds of people. Different clothes, just like everything. And it just makes sense to have that stuff, even in like fantasy kind of stuff like Turtles. And it's also, it's less boring drawing different faces, different,
absolutely,
styles, different body types, all that stuff. Like, it's boring drawing the same face over and over. But yeah, I just, it, like, even if the story or whatever, or the other characters like don't call attention to any any of that stuff, it still, like adds to like the overall tapestry of like whatever the comic is. So yeah, I think it's a pretty simple motivation for it, just that it makes it feel real, and there's like a believability to it, that kind of thing.
Awesome.
Well, and I just love that level of, how do I want to put this, just I guess low level, almost background representation, like you're just talking about, like putting different body shapes and sizes just in the background. You're right, it does make things feel more realistic and lived in, and I raise my glass to any writer or artist that's willing to think in those terms, because we've been kind of conditioned by multiple of social factors to think of one thing or another as quote unquote normal and anything else as other. So
Yeah,
I can't stand that mindset.
Yeah, definitely. And like everybody's got their blind spots or their blinders or whatever, like me included. Like, and I think sometimes like whether it's main characters or characters in the background, like you kind of have to actively think like, oh, am I getting into a rut here? Like, am I just drawing these background characters like without thinking about it? Just kind of just like, oh, okay, my standard thing, here's some background characters. And I think it's like like an active kind of deliberate thing to kind of like continually think like outside your bubble or what have you. And so like sometimes I'll see other artists draw some character and I'll be just like, oh, I've never done a character like that. Like how did I like never think of that or something like that, or I've never drawn anything like that. So yeah, it's definitely like a never-ending process.
Learn and grow.
Yeah, definitely.
So I would say you've been in the business for a little while now, and you're starting to come into your own and become a household name, so to speak. I mean, stepping up to the Ninja Turtles, that's a pretty big step. Do you want to walk us through how that process started, especially given that you're following in the footsteps of Kevin Eastman, who of course co-created the Turtles?
Yeah. Well, I first did some Turtle stuff for Mirage way back in like 2007, I think, something like that. It's all a blur, but like, that was right before, I just did like covers and stuff. That was right before the Nickelodeon sale. And then I was going to do Turtles for Dark Horse, which didn't happen. Because they didn't get the license. It didn't get very far. There at the time, there was like a whole big news story that went around that had a bunch of just like my fan art and like my live journal daily sketches and stuff like that. That was like, here's unused concept art for the Dark Horse Turtles that never happened. But that wasn't true. I mean, the Dark Horse thing was true, but like I never did any concept art for it, and that was just like daily blog sketches for fun that I had done like years earlier, and that was that was a mess. And I feel like, excuse me, like I feel like I always have to kind of set the record straight about that. Like I still get people asking about it to this day, and like it's like, no, it's not. That wasn't concept art. But yeah, so the Dark Horse thing didn't happen, and so IDW got the license, and like I was like really banking on that Turtles job at that time, and when they got the license, like I made a stink on Twitter like that was my book, like they stole it under me or something like that. And I think, like I slowly got on the radar of the editor, Bobby, and the other people like working on the book. And I did the Leonardo micro, and it was kind of just like small stuff at first. And I just slowly, did more and more like over the years. And now it's like, what, like 8 or 9 years later or something. So I feel like I've paid my dues on Turtles, and when I get to write it, just like finally.
It's my time, damn it. Oh, there's no industry suddenly. Timing is a bitch.
Yeah. I know, yeah, really. So now, like, I get my shot, and then like everything just collapses around me.
I have all the faith in the world that we will be reading more of your turtles before.
Yeah, I think so. I hope that things will, I don't know, get back on track. Like, obviously, people are out there dying and stuff, so me drawing turtles is like not top priority. But it's still nice to have a job, and I hope things will get back on track eventually, and we can kind of pick up where we left off.
Well, I should hope so, because they're about to go into a metal show.
I know, yeah. So I approved the issue 105 PDF this morning. I don't know when that issue is going to come out. It's all, it's pretty up in the air, so I don't know, but it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm happy with it.
So without spoiling anything, is there a mosh pit?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Nobody.
I know more. I don't want to know anymore.
But
turtles in a mosh pit is like my childhood meets my teenage years, just swirled together brutally.
And like I've been in mosh pits myself, so I had to like get that kind of stuff in there. It's not like, I don't know, looking back on it, like maybe I could have made it more violent. Them like I've been in mosh pits where, I've been at shows where I like bonk heads with other people, and we've like, it's like terrible. But like maybe I should have put something like that in there. But I think it worked pretty well. It was fun to draw, and yeah.
Well, Mike.
Yeah. It was kind of, because we were just joking about that before he came on, about how you kind of created like a mutated CBGBs in the last couple issues, and that was like one of the coolest things. Like, you saw like Mona and all them going to the show, and that's one of the things we're like anxious to see in the next coming issue. So it's be pretty rad. With regards to Jenny, since I believe it was issue 96, when the whole transfusion with Leo and everything happened, and she's just become she's took on a prominent role, and you have her in such a prominent role, such a strong role. How important is it for her to continue this strong role, and will we see her to continue kind of almost taking the charge and getting everyone back together, and kind of getting over what happened with Splinter and everything?
I mean, I hope so. I hope, like, like whatever other writers come in, like I hope they, they keep her in the spotlight. And I think, like, for me, it was like, I mean, she'd been around since like, what, like issue 51 or something like that. She'd been around.
Yeah.
And I felt like, she gets mutated, obviously, and we're kind of like positioning her as like the fifth turtle, and I felt like all, the other turtles, obviously, they have like, like Leo's the leader, Raph's grumpy, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And they all have like, these like, they're more than that, obviously, but they all have these kind of like, specific personalities, and they have these
defined roles.
Right, defined roles, and they have their weapons, like, in my mind, they like reflect their personalities and stuff like that. And like, where all the turtles stand, like, with each other. And I felt like, like now we have Jenny, and whether she's got a mask and everything, like the yellow mask, but like whether or not the character like thinks of herself like as the fifth turtle. You know, like I don't feel like anybody would ever like say that in the comic, but you know, she's part of the group, you know, for better or for worse at this point in the story.
Yep.
And I felt like, you know, like if she's gonna stick around and like be part of this group, that she has to have like identifying traits like the other four turtles do. And you know, like what Jenny's the blank one, what's like, how does her weapon reflect her personality, blah blah blah, like all that stuff. So I felt like when I took over, like those questions hadn't really been answered yet. And you know, yeah, like she got mutated in like 96, he said. And like, you know, we got to see like a little bit of her like as a turtle, but it was like there's so much other stuff going on. And you know, like not in a bad way, you know, like that City at War was great. You know, like I don't know how Tom jumbles all that stuff, but you know, yeah, it felt like when 100 ended, I felt like, you know, there was still like groundwork that needed to be done with Jenny and like how she fits into the group. And like, you know, I saw some fans like complaining that the main four turtles kind of took a back seat in like the first few issues and stuff, which is yeah. But it's like, you know, like I need to lay this groundwork for Jenny, and she's still kind of separate from them. So it felt like she's not going to be the one kind of like, you know, moping with the turtles, for lack of a better word. Like obviously their father died and everything, so it's big. But I felt like that was a good point in the story to just kind of like slow things down. Okay, what's Jenny's personality by herself? What's she like with the other turtles? And just kind of like slowly add things like back in, and like, you know, strip it all away, add things back in, and build it up to hopefully where 105 like ends up. And like obviously the turtles, the main four turtles, have had, you know, 30 plus years to be defined in different versions. And, you know, the characters, they're kind of different in each incarnation or whatever. So I still think Jenny, you know, there's still like a lot of stuff left to like develop with her, but I feel like, you know, I laid down like a pretty good start. I think about her like, I don't know if you guys watch the Goldbergs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my like main idea of her was if Erica Goldberg was a Ninja Turtle. And that's like how I think of her, where she's like, you know, she's just kind of like the you know, she's like kind of like the bad big sister, you know, who doesn't really take the other her younger brother's shit. And she kind of like has, you know, like bigger ideas than maybe she can like undertake. And that, you know, like maybe her ideas like seem grand but don't always work out, and just like and you know, I felt like the main, like one thing I really wanted to do with her is that Raph, you know, he's always, you know, he's just like, I'm angry, I'm getting, you know, I'm out of here, see you guys. And like, you know, like again, that's just one facet of Raph. But like I kept thinking about like, what if Jenny had the role of the character who just like doesn't care about that, you know, kind of like, you know, like Erica Goldberg, like, you know, Barry or Adam, they kind of storm off and she just doesn't really care because you know, he's an idiot. And I felt like that's like the role that I really wanted to put Jenny into. And then the whole like music angle, because like Brown Revel, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but he did he did that What is Ninja short story back in TMNT universe, and it kind of explored Jenny's background. When she was human, she was like kind of like a petty criminal, and she was like, you know, like into the local music scene, like punk or whatever. And I was like, well, there's no like musical turtle, so like, what if that's like part of the angle, just like Erica Goldberg too, you know, because she's a musician, you know, kind of a failed musician, which is funny. And you know, like I have some stuff with Jenny where she's just like, yeah, like I wish I always could have done that, but I sucked. But yeah, so I feel like I've laid an okay groundwork, and like obviously it's only been 5 issues since I took over, but yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent there, I guess. But
it was a great tangent, let me tell you.
We're on our time. I mean, we're on your time, I should say. You know what? I like what you had to say about the various turtles' personalities kind of being, you know, pretty well known, pretty well constructed. You know, we know how these characters all play off of one another, regardless of their iteration. And then you drop Jenny into the mix, and it suddenly changes the configuration because there's this new element. And I mean, personally, I love that because it brings out she brings out new facets of their personalities. And it helps take the book in a new direction, because for listeners that aren't aware, and you know, Master Splinter died in issue 100, and you know, 5-month spoiler, I guess. And so this entire arc thus far has been about grief and processing grief, and how each of the turtles process it in their own ways, and some are more healthy than others. And I just found myself picking my jaw up off the floor as I was reading these issues, because this is just not what anybody would expect coming into a Ninja Turtles comic at all. It's such a mature read.
Oh, thanks. I mean, maybe there could have been more ninja fighting, but you know, there's a little bit in there.
It's new territory.
Yeah.
For the characters. We've seen ninja fighting. Trust me, we got that. But to actually break them down in this way and watch them process their grief, especially Michelangelo, was particularly touching. And I loved that you touched on the idea of an emotional support animal with them, because I work with veterans in my job, and you know, these emotional support animals are a lot of their lifelines.
Yeah, definitely.
And I just wondered how you came to that concept, particularly for Michelangelo.
Well, like Clunk is something that I've been trying to introduce in the series for years. I did a pitch for, oh my God, was it? Oh, it was the April O'Neil micro, like way back when. I did a pitch where Clunk was introduced, and you know, that didn't happen. You know, I can't, you know, somebody else did the issue, like my thing got rejected or whatever. And I've kind of, you know, like ever since then, I've kind of been like, how can I introduce Clunk like into the IDW series? Because like, you know, Clunk is like one of my favorite things from the Mirage comics. And like when I got the opportunity to, you know, do this new arc, you know, it's like it just made sense to have like looking back on it, I kind of wish I did something with because in the old comics, you know, like Clunk is this kind of like stray cat or whatever, and Michelangelo like, you know, like finds him and like rescues him, stuff like that. And I kind of wish, looking back on it, I had done something like that. But I mean, that's also kind of like a more involved story. But anyway, yeah, so it seemed like perfect to have, you know, Michelangelo have a cat, and for the cat to be Clunk, obviously, and just like, you know, like I've had cats all my life, and you know, I've never lost my dad, but you know, I've like lost other people and other things, and like it's kind of like when you have an animal like that and you need to like kind of pour yourself into like caring for them, like even if they don't really need it, you know, like I'm sure if I left for a few days my cat would be fine, but you know, it gives you like an outlet when you feel like lost or helpless or like you know whatever. And it's just like it becomes like your whole world to like take care of this like small, you know, perceived helpless thing. And you know, I felt like that for Mikey would like make a lot of sense, where like, you know, he's lost not just his father, but all the Foot Clan orphan kids, like they're all gone.
Yep.
And you know, like his other, you know, the other turtles and like April are all kind of doing their own thing, and like nobody knows how to talk to each other. And it just made sense that like, you know, like Mikey, he would just like orbit, you know, Clunk, this cat, and he would just like pour everything into this cat. And like, you know, that would help him through it. And I thought it just made a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, that scene where Clunk gets out and, you know, Mikey's visibly panicked. You can feel his distress on the page. It's just remarkably well executed.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I think like any cat owner who has like a primarily indoor cat has experienced that at least once, where you're just like, oh my God, where did they go? You know?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, well, and continuing on, like what was really felt was in the end, towards the end of 104, when they're all at Alopex's shelter, and you know, her and Raph are kind of, or Jenny and Raph are sitting out there, and you know, he's, I'm not going in, you know, and stuff like that. There was, I mean, that scene of like the realness was like, what was there a time that you felt you wanted to bring them all back together, or did you feel that 104 was that, like you said, you wanted to kind of break it all down again and rebuild it back up? Did you have an idea of when you wanted to bring it all back together?
Actually, in my original outline, the turtles kind of all got back together in 103, which you can see because like my cover for that one, where they're fighting the weasels, has them all on the cover.
Yep.
Like, because like we have to do the covers like so far in advance that, you know, by the time they come out, like so much in the story has changed. I can't even remember how I got them back together originally in the outline. And like the original pitch or whatever. I can't remember. It was, I mean, like they came back together to like, you know, fight these weasels, obviously. And
the weasels were great.
Yeah, awesome.
And like the weasels, they became in the final story, they became like much less of like big threat or whatever. Like originally I wanted them to be like critters or gremlins or something, where they just like ruin everything, but you know, they got scaled like way back. I'm trying to remember what I did, because I think I had Leo have like a more like proactive thing, and I had a thing where he was like receiving like visions of like this like spirit that was like telling him that, you know, like his work isn't done or something like that. And I had that kind of like spur him to like get everybody back in the city and stuff like that. But then you know, that stuff changed, and then I did the stuff with Clunk instead. I felt like them getting back together, like it doesn't need to be this kind of big, like, you know, like badass, like, oh, we're back together again.
Yeah,
like it doesn't need to be like,
right.
it doesn't need to be like that.
Right.
And I felt like, you know, them getting back together, like, or not, I mean, like, you know, they show up at the farm and like everyone's there, but things are still like cold with them. But then having Clunk just show up like after Mikey and Leo had been searching forever, and it's just like this like stupid thing where the cat's just like, hi, I've been here all along or whatever, and it's just and like, you know, they all have this kind of release where like it's not that funny. Like anybody like who wasn't there is just like, that's not that funny.
Yeah.
You know,
We've all had that.
And you know, it's like contagious or whatever. And I felt like that would be the icebreaker to go with, and not like any like we have to go back to the city and defeat the villain.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Well, and I mean, not only that, but not only does it get them back together, but it ultimately leads to what does become their new mission. And it's so, you know, just wonderfully low key. You know, we're gonna keep a watch out for our fellow mutants in Mutant Town. We're gonna start a dojo and teach people self-defense. We're gonna do community organizing. It's not what people would expect from a Ninja Turtles comic, and I just love that.
Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it shows growth, you know? When a franchise or a character or, you know, whatever is just static for so long, as you age, you're going to age out of it because it's not growing with you. But, you know, 9-year-old me recognizes these as Ninja Turtles and is geeking out, but 39-year-old me recognizes, oh my God, they've grown as people, and that's amazing. And I should probably go back and reread all of this series leading up to this.
And I feel like in the Turtles, like they're not like, you know, like they're good guys, but it's like they're not like superheroes in the same way as like Spider-Man or something, where you know, like a character like Spider-Man or something, not that Spider-Man is bad or anything, but like, you know, after something like this, like something big happens to him, like he might just be like, well, it's time to get back out there and go fight some more villains. And I feel like the Turtles aren't like that. They don't really go out and try to save the city or save the world or whatever. Like I feel like if like I almost feel like if Mutant Town didn't exist, that the Turtles, they would just stay home. Like after Splinter died, they wouldn't do anything. And I feel like, you know, they always kind of just want to like live their lives and help where they can, but that's not their main goal. It's not like they go out to beat up evildoers or something. And I felt like, you know, and that's always been something that has like really appealed to me about the Turtles. It's like they're not really, you know, traditional superhero kind of characters. And I felt like with the dojo thing, it's like what would they do? Like their father is dead, and there's a place that they can go, and they don't have to live in the sewers anymore. They don't have to live underground anymore. And they can be out and about. They can actually be part of like a real community for the first time ever.
Yeah. And
like all the other mutants there, for the most part, are basically normal people. You know, they're not like ninjas or whatever. Like even, you know, like even Hob, like he's just basically a guy with a gun, you know? And I felt like the Turtles, they would be like, hey, we're like we're ninjas. Like, what do we do with all these skills and abilities that like nobody else in Mutant Town has? And like our father is dead, like he trained us, so like we have to do something. We can't just not do anything.
Right.
And it just like, like they should train. Yeah, like they should train people. And I really liked going back to Braun Revel's story again. There was the whole thing where Splinter tells Jenny how the ninja were kind of, they were like brought up from like the villager or farmer class of people to kind of like hold the line against like the daimyo and the samurai and stuff like that. And like, yeah, like they were assassins and stuff, but like and like mercenaries, but a lot of that would be to like prevent some like warlord from gaining too much power, or like undercut some like unjust political faction or something like that. And I just felt like like Mutant Town is kind of this microcosm where like everybody's kind of downtrodden at this point. And there's kind of like the lower class, and then like whatever class Hob like in the Mutant Animals are. Like they're not even upper class. They're like like the warlord class, And I just thought it would be like, like why don't the turtles like be like a real quote unquote real ninja clan, and like train the farmers and villagers and stuff like in feudal Japan, where like they would use like farm implements as weapons and stuff like that. And I started thinking about like all the kind of like ninja stuff that you don't really see the turtles do, like disguising themselves as commoners and stuff like that to like infiltrate behind enemy lines, and like ninja countermeasures and stuff like that, like, and I was just thinking like, like that would be cool. They should like, because like Mutant Town, it gives you this kind of setup where you can do that kind of stuff, like, oh, let's infiltrate the Mutanimals base and like gather intelligence, and stuff like that. And I just thought that was really cool. And it also kind of, it gives something back to this new community, because like even if they're not training like sword wielding ninjas, they're training like common people to defend themselves, like against Mutanimal bullies and like Donatello, he can be like a handyman and like help restore electricity to people,
right?
And like in the kind of same way Alopex is like running the shelter. There's like real like street level things that they can do, and give their lives direction and stuff.
And you've got, and then on the other hand, you talking of warlords gaining too much power, you have Hob, who very neatly fulfills that role. And I, what little I've read of Hob anyway. Again, I haven't read the first 99 issues of the series, but he, from just what I have read, he strikes me as my favorite kind of antagonist, in that he's almost doing a good thing, but for the wrong reasons, and then he takes it too far, and he has this tragic fall, and we start to see that really playing out in your issues.
Yeah, see, I kind of feel like it's the reverse. I feel like he's doing bad things for the right reasons.
Okay,
like,
okay.
He wants there to be like a mutant community, but then he's like how do I liberate mutants from their human oppressors and like make it so mutants are happy? I should bomb everyone with mutagen. I don't know if that's a great plan. How do I get supplies and food into mutant homes? I'll sell it to be mutants. Good idea,
And now y'all gotta live behind a big wall.
Yeah.
Way to go. You one-night moon.
So I feel like he has his heart is in the right place. He just like can't like enact anything without just like being like overshadowed by like his own anger and like kind of maybe ineptitude, like a little bit. Like he's always kind of biting off more than he can chew, I think. And I don't know. I really want it's like I really want like whatever next like kind of big arc or whatever I do, like I really want Hobb to like get what's coming to him in like whatever form that is. Like I really want him to like reap what he's sown. I don't know what they'll let me do. Like I don't want to kill Hobb, but I don't know. I want something to happen to him. I don't know what yet.
Well, you seem to have a lot of latitude, considering it's a licensed property, to really nurture and grow these characters and go in some unexpected directions with them. But from that perspective, as a licensed property, do you find yourself ever restricted in any way, or?
I think the only thing that they've so far told me that I couldn't do was that in issue 105, I had a scene where Mikey got drunk. And he was just like wasted. And they were just like, I don't know about that. So,
Interesting.
I cut that out. I think that was the only thing that like they actively said, like, no, let's not do that.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain level, IDW, they have to be the tenets of the brand itself. So they have their own responsibilities. But I definitely would have loved to have seen a drunk Michelangelo.
Like
swinging his nunchucks around. Whacks himself in the head because he can't coordinate anything.
He shows up, he's drunk, and like Leo's just like, who gave you alcohol? Stuff like that. And I don't know. I thought it was really funny. But yeah, I'm trying to think of some other stuff that I was just like flat out told no. I think that was it.
Okay.
Which is great. And there's like, there were other ideas I had that like in the original proposal that kind of like not nixed, but they just kind of were discarded over time. Like, like I originally I wanted to have Terrapin. I don't know if you guys have ever read Mirage Turtles Volume 2. And it's this, this giant snapping turtle, basically. Oh. It does, like we don't know where it came from in the old comics, but it's just a giant turtle. That's it. And so I was just like, oh, I want to get Terrapin in there and have him like rampage through the city. But then like we were kind of just like, well, we kind of just had the dragon have a rampage. It's another giant kaiju thing too soon.
Must we have another giant rampage?
Yeah.
But maybe we'll have had enough time pass it at some point, and we can get the giant turtle rampage. But yeah, so that was one thing. So, but it was basically stuff like that, where it was kind of like, well, we kind of did this particular thing before in this story, or stuff like that. So the leeway, it's been really amazing, like how much they let me do, and how kind of like offbeat slice of life they've let me do the series, and like letting me do like letting me introduce like Mona Lisa, like the weasels, Lita, the little albino turtle.
Yes, I love Lita already.
I'm glad. And like, just stuff like that. Like, I'm like, hey, what if there's a, like, what if there's a mutant porcupine? What if there's a platypus? And they're like, all right, sounds good.
The platypus enforcer cracked me up. all animals to be an enforcer. It's a freaking platypus. I love that. I want to see more of the platypus, please.
Yeah, he's in 105.
Oh,
there you go. There you go.
He'll have more to do like later on, I think.
All right.
He's in like one of the proposals I did for like a later issue.
Very cool.
So do you have any kind of more classic characters coming up? Bebop and Rocksteady, maybe Fugitoid, or Krang was hinted at the end of 100.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like, Krang being like inside Leatherhead is like really cool, but I feel really bad for Leatherhead, and I kind of want to get in there and just be like, Krang, he just falls out, and Leatherhead is fine, or something. I want Leatherhead to be okay. Like he's just gotten the short end of the stick since day one.
Well, he was even the crappiest but coolest action figure from the Playmates line, because he's like this cool alligator dude, but he had zero articulation.
No, but his mouth opened.
And that was cool. But he was just constantly hunched over, and it was so frustrating, but so cool at the same time. I feel you on that.
Yeah. So I wish Leatherhead. I would like Leatherhead to be like more of like an ally and not have such a shitty life. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I do have some ideas for Bebop and Rocksteady, because like they were in a band, and now there's this music scene, that I've set up in Mutant Town. So I have some ideas for them, and I have some. No, I haven't thought about anything for Fugitoid really.
Fugitoid's kind of an odd duck in the
I like Fugitoid. Yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah, but, definitely. But it's hard to gracefully fit him into their world, I think.
Yeah,
even though he's been there since the 80s, but never mind all that.
There's too many characters right now, so I'm not going to add anything else.
You just sit here and start listing action figures off. What about the King Lion? What about the snake guy?
Luckily, one toy character I would love to introduce at some point is Muckman.
Oh, yes!
Yes!
I always thought Muckman was really cool.
Definitely.
That'd be great. That's awesome.
Go ahead.
I have some plans. I have some plans to introduce some older characters that haven't been in the comics yet, but I don't know if I can say anything.
Hey, okay. Yeah, keep it under wraps. Keep your secrets. But I'm so excited for this run, and when comics resume, I look very, very forward to adding it to my pull sheet. So
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much for just giving me that, and fans everywhere, because I don't think enough folks are talking about this series, to be quite honest. And
yeah,
that's a shame.
It's never enough people are talking about it.
So, Mike, did you have anything else?
Just one real quick question, Sophie. With stuff like what you did with Gem and the Holograms, and what you're doing now with Turtles, and the stuff you did with Glory, with those titles, you kind of took them on board, you made them your own, and kind of put that Sophie Campbell stamp on it. Is there a current book that you would like to work on? I'm not saying to maybe massage canon, or just something you would love to write, something you would love to tweak and put that familiar Sophie Campbell touch to.
Ooh.
Dang, I think it has to be like a currently running title.
No, let your imagination run wild.
Yeah, if you want to restart a line, please, by all means, restart a line.
I would like to do a Gamera comic.
Oh,
That
speaking
if
of
I
giant
could
turtles.
if I could pick anything, that's what it would be, without a doubt.
Okay.
Gamera is like he's the only thing that could get me to bail on Turtles to do would be Gamera.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, that would be fun. I would love to do something with like Marrow from X-Men.
Ooh.
Okay.
I love Marrow.
I love it.
Nobody really seems to know what to do with her.
She's angry. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you on that one.
She's had a lot of good stuff that people, kind of forget about, I think. So I would love to do something with her. I would love to maybe like revamp like the original X-Force lineup. Like Feral, Cable, Shatterstar, Domino. Love those guys.
Yes.
Love them.
That'd be awesome.
That would be cool. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Maybe like Cyberforce. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, I love
All right, Mark Silvestri. Game on, buddy.
No. Cybernary. That's what I would want to do. Do you guys remember Cybernary?
I do. She was a bad girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, R.I.P. What's that?
Was that Randy Queen's comic?
No, it was Nick Manabat. He did. Nick Manabat did. There were Cybernary backup stories in the original, like 4 or 5 Deathblow comics that Jim Lee did.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, right. And then Nick Manabat died.
Oh.
And I think he had like lupus or something like that. Yeah, sad. So he died. And then after that, there like some other cartoonists and stuff did like, a couple different Cybernary series. But I would love to like, I don't know, like I still look at that old Cybernary art, and it's like a lot of it is like really confusing because it's like there's so much going on. It's like so shadowy and dark, but it feels just like really like metal or something. And I think like bringing Cybernary back and making it kind of just like grimy again or something would be really fun. I don't know. I'm sure as soon as I get off the line with you guys, I'll think of like other stuff I'd love to do.
Listen, we're happy to help subtly pitch this stuff out into the interweb.
That's the stuff that like really springs to mind, like when I think of it.
So I got to ask. We kind of touched on this towards the beginning of the interview, but you've clearly got a little bit of metal cred, as it were. So let's hear it. Who's your favorites in the world of metal?
Oh, my favorite metal band is Blackguard. They're like a melodic death metal band from Montreal.
Okay.
I love them. I've been listening to a lot of Sabaton recently.
Nice.
I like Cadaveria. She's really great.
Okay.
Who else do I like? Ball Sagoth is really good. I love them. Belphegor is good.
Man, you're throwing a lot out there that I was unaware of. So now I'm going to have to, first of all, figure out how to spell some of these, but then start digging in on the old iTunes to see what's
what. Dark Tranquility is really great. There's this band, This Means You. They're not together. They put out one album.
Oh.
But their one album is really good. Yeah, there's a lot of them. I'm definitely trying to get some feel like that in Turtles, because like I think Brahm meant for Jenny to be into like punk, but since a comic, you can't really hear what kind of music they're playing. So like, I was like, well, what if it's metal? And so
yes, please.
So I'm trying to push it in that direction more. Not that punk's bad or anything. I just don't have any punk touchstones or anything.
I got you.
Because Brahm definitely has like that. Like she grew up listening to like the Ramones and like Minor Threat and stuff like that. So having you like swing over to like that heavier sound, that goth sound type deal. I think that would be pretty rad. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
awesome.
I've been trying, like, I've been pushing the metal thing, but I've been trying to kind of like throw Brahm some bones, like in the background. I'll have like a Bikini Kill or like TSOL posters or something. I'm like, here you go, Brahm. Here's some
yeah, there it is.
We don't want to reignite the old punk metal turf wars from the 80s. Like, not in these pages.
But then meanwhile, I'll have Jenny wearing like a Warlock t-shirt or something like that. So I'm like, okay, this is the direction we're going.
So Sophie, we are running out the clock here, but we always like to try to end the show with a what have you been reading? What are you looking forward to? But there's nothing to look forward to right now. So
that is true, right? Society.
Eventually there is, but we don't know. It's certainly not coming out next week. So what have you been reading lately?
God, like comics or just anything?
Well, we anything.
I actually haven't been reading a ton of comics recently. The main one I always look forward to is Delicious in Dungeon. It's a manga by Ryoko Kui. It's kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing, but it's really fun and cute. And right now I am reading, God, what the fucking hell is the title of this thing? It's this really in-depth book about the John Benet Ramsey murder.
Oh, wow.
What is that book called? Because like I've read so many John Benet books that all the titles kind of blur together. But the one I am reading now, I don't know if I can. Oh, it's on my Kindle. Oh, my Kindle's right here. Okay. I have to scroll through all my John Benet books on my Kindle. Like, I read a lot of true crime stuff. That's like my main thing. Truth and Evidence in the John Benet Ramsey case. That's what it's.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm reading right now. I'm like,
hey, that's what's up. Doesn't have to be comics, but since you like true crime so much, Mike and I have to ask: did Carol Baskin do it?
I haven't seen Tiger King, but
you have to watch Tiger King.
Since I'm so into true crime, I was following the Joe Exotic case like years ago.
Oh, hey, I live in Oklahoma, so I'm aware of this.
I'm a little dismayed at how it seems like people are kind of like lionizing Joe Exotic.
Yeah, definitely wrong.
Very bad things. Like, you don't want him out of jail.
Here's a portrait I did of Joe Exotic. Just like, what are you doing? Like, he's this horrible person.
Yeah.
He's very clearly a sexual predator, if nothing else.
He's just like, he like murdered a bunch of tiger cubs, right? Like,
put a hit out on a lady he didn't like. I mean,
it's
very compelling trash TV, and you should totally watch it. Everyone should watch Tiger.
I should. I know, since I'm not really, I'm not really doing anything right now. I should watch it.
Mike, thrill us. What have you been reading?
I have been going back through some classic, just classic X-Men type stuff. So I've been doing Mutant Massacre. So I've been reading through some of that. And started some old Hellboy, some old Volume 1 Hellboy. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, just kind of digging through some stuff and kind of at random. Oh, I haven't read this in a while. So just doing that. And watching Tiger King again, because all three of those people are really bad people, by the way. They all exploit animals. They've all killed their animals. They're just all bad people. But
did you say watching Tiger King again?
Again,
Oh,
yeah,
don't
because
get
I'm
me going.
teleworking and it's in the background, so I'm just like, it's yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so guilty. I'm ashamed.
No, don't be ashamed. Sometimes you need to listen or watch things more than once to like absorb all the details and stuff.
Yeah. To be honest, it's either that or having Bob's Burgers play in the background, so I kind of bounce between.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been on a tear through some Rick Remender Marvel stuff circa 2010, 2012, right in there. Uncanny X-Force, followed by Uncanny Avengers, and then Secret Avengers, and just kind of revisiting that era in Marvel. I love Rick Remender. I always read his stuff that he puts out, from through Image, and it's always fantastic. It's been a while since I revisited that era of his writing. It's just been really fun. So one thing I have looking forward to, though, is Ed Brubaker and Marcos Martin put out a comic called Friday, and it's pay whatever you want for it. I did. And it's waiting for me in my email to read. And those creators are involved. I cannot say no. So, but, well, Sophie, thank you so much for spending some time with us out of your day. And, we couldn't be happier to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. And you're welcome back anytime.
Yeah,
so,
we'll have to do it again. Like
totally. Listen, next time we're gonna bring playlists. Okay, we're gonna 10 albums.
That's what I should do. Now that I have nothing to do for a while, I should do Spotify playlists for the Turtles issues or something.
Oh snap! It is on.
Cool.
There you go.
Well, I'm Matt. This is Mike. Our guest this week has been Sophie Campbell on episode 76 of the Comic Watchers Show. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us on Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, and anywhere that you can find podcasts pretty much. Until next time, support your LCS and be kind to one another. Thank you so much.